Hi, it's Oddball1975 and welcome to Elite Dangerous on the Xbox, and today I want to talk about a subject that some people get funny about, which is counter building or counter builds. Now, in Elite Dangerous there's kind of a rock, paper, scissors thing going on. There is a meta, high-end PvP ships like that do tournament PvP tend to be like they have rules and things are banned and it's all agreed. The reason for that is to try and make it competitive in a level playing field, so it's player skill that wins the day. Hence why those tournaments are filled with high DPS builds, shield tank, FDLs with plasmax and railguns, things that take skill to use. Now when it comes to Elite Dangerous organic PvP or just general PvP in Elite Dangerous, anything goes, and when it's anything goes, there are counters for everything. For example, a wing of 4 meta FDLs with their plasmax and railguns would not like to run into a wing of phasing ships because they don't have a lot of hull. They're very light and maneuverable, and a lot of them don't run chaff. So a bunch of gimbaled phasing guys in shield tanks can be a real pain in the butt. If you don't like gimbaled scrub builds and you're getting killed by gimbaled multi-cannon ships, you can always run chaff, double chaff, and you're laughing. So there is counters for virtually everything in the game. Some builds stack up well against others, some builds don't. Speed is always an important vital component. Whoever has the highest speed tends to control the pace of the engagement. Over the years I've run into virtually every type of build you could possibly have, and some are great against my builds, others are not so great against my builds. I tend to build very heavy ships, which always leaves me at a slight disadvantage pace wise. My ships aren't the fastest. I do have a couple of super fast ships, but they're generally my lightweight pirate ships. When it comes to my PvP ships, I tend to build strong heavy builds, which is not a great idea. I'm usually less maneuverable, but then more tanky, so it's kind of yin and yang. I know a couple of people that run ridiculously lightweight fast mambas, and they will literally just run for 90% of the fight. They'll just run away, recharge their biweave, then come back, run away, recharge their biweave, then come back, and it's these long-winded, pointless fights. You end up like, I'm just going to wake out because you keep going out to 6. I'm not going to entertain this. This is not, no. If you've ever been in one of those fights, you'll know exactly what I mean. Now I'm going to cut away from my fight here with Serial Killer OG to bring you a bit of Frodo against the Flechette build, in probably the worst ship to bring against the Flechette build, or any ship that targets drives. He's in a chieftain, which, as everyone knows, his drives are just hanging out there for anyone to just destroy. Terrible ship to take on anything that targets drives or takes out drives, unless of course you've got an AFMU, and then it's fine. Actually works wonders. Frodo is a big proponent of the AFMU and has preached mightily about me about the AFMU, and I have squeezed it on a few of my ship builds now. I'm working on, there's a couple of ships I'm working on that I need to do loads of engineering towards, that I need to go out to Crystal Shard site for, and that's as far as I've got, is thinking about going out to the Crystal Shard site for. But I'm being really lazy about it. Engineering and me are not good friends. This is why I don't have a lot of different counter builds. I basically have the same PvP ships I've had for the last few years, because building a new PvP ship is hard work. There's a lot of engineering involved, there's a lot of material grind, and those are things I can't stand doing. So I have a couple of builds that are half complete, that have no experimental effects, or some of the things aren't up to tier 5. I ran out of mats ages ago, and then I traded across as much as I could, and then I've run out of, and now I've got no synthesis for anything. I think I've got one reload of FSD synth at the moment, so I really do need to get out to the Crystal Shard site and restock my materials. My materials are in a woeful state, and I have been for months now. But Frodo is a big proponent of weird and wonderful builds. He recently decided to bring a dropship to a 1v1 with me, and it battered me. He loves long range weapons, because if he's going to build slower builds, then long range weapons counteracts the people being faster than you by forcing them to close the gap on you because you're still shooting them from like 9k away. That's an interesting tactic. I kind of like that. He does build some interesting ships. Would I call them counter builds? Not necessarily. He's not really genuinely countering anything other than he does counter flechettes by bringing in an AFMU. Yeah. But it's also very useful in other fights as well. It's great for keeping your canopy alive in a lot of ships, especially things like crates. An AFMU can really do wonders for the Alliance ships where your shields drop, people can go after your canopy, and pretty much having an AFMU on the ship just totally negates that. It's a really, really useful thing to have. It does counter a lot of things. Now, somebody did accuse me of building a lot of counter builds, and it's like, well, not really. I mean, I did say when I built the ram, but it was to counter people that rely on plasma rams. Did I build it as a counter build? It worked very well as a counter build to a 5PA plasma ramming ship. It does that. When I built my beamed lance, why did I build it? Because it seemed like it was more fun than a 5 multi-cannon FDL. And I enjoy it enough that I actually have kept it, because my relationship with FDLs is usually buy, sell, buy, sell. Over the years I've engineered a lot of FDLs, I get bored of them and I get rid of them. And as to my phasing Mamba, is that a counter for anything? Well, yeah, but then I only built it to fall in line so we had a phasing wing. It's great when I team up with Scooby and his phasing vet. Bring another phasing ship to the battle, it doubles the effectiveness of the phasing, simple as that. So, I don't tend to build counter builds, I tend to build builds that complement my squad mates or make me amused. And if putting loads of armor on and being good at ramming things is a counter, well, okay, I'll take it. That's counter building. But all in all, there is usually a counter to whatever other people are doing. Flechette builds get countered by FMUs, gimbal get countered by chaff. Stealth builds get totally nerfed by missiles and a missive. There is always a way around the problem. The Meta Lance has a weakness when it comes to phasing, but 1v1 a phasing ship versus a Meta Lance probably can't output enough damage on the phasing ship to really worry that Meta Lance. They do a lot of DPS. That's why they're the meta. That's why people love them so much, because they do hit like a freight train. The thermal conduit and that, it hits very, very super hard. So there's always a counter, there's always a way around things. There's a rock, paper, scissors going on, and when it comes to organic PvP, pilot skill is not always necessarily the most important thing. Sometimes a scrub like me can get kills against players that are way better than me just by sitting there in the right ship at the right time, and anyone can look like a hero when you're not being focused. If you're in a big wing fight and you're getting to have free reign, you're going to do a lot of damage. It's very simple. Especially if you're a gimbal scrub like me. But all in all, do I think counter building's a bad thing? I think if you've got the patience for it and you've got the knack of it and you know what you want to build to counter what they're doing, go ahead, counter build away. I never worry when someone comes and challenges me to a 1v1 and they've built this ship that I can't possibly beat. It doesn't bother me. It's kind of fun. I like taking on impossible challenges. When I fought Pirates R Us in a bank tank Python, he had so many banks that I knew I was going to lose, but I said to him, I'm going to set a target. If I get through your banks, I'm going to count that as a victory. And that's enough for me. I don't need to worry about winning or losing the fight, because my goal is to not be speedrun and at least give a good account of myself. And I generally manage to do those things. Am I worried? Well, no, because Pirates R Us's build would be countered by someone using the railgun that cancels banks. There's always a counter for every build. you don't know when the fight starts if the person you're fighting against is going to be a good build to fight against you or not. That's part of the fun, is just choosing your ship, running around having a few fights and seeing what you run into. And then if you've run into something that's a brick wall, you could always pick a different ship. There's no real big issue. I mean, there's, some people get upset by the use of missiles, because I know I don't like bringing my armor builds out because they get totally nerfed by emissive and missiles, but that's my choice to be in an armor build. And if someone comes out with missiles, I just jump out because I have no chance against it, and I go pick something else and I come back looking for revenge. Always the way. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. GG the serial killer. He chased me off in a pirate ship, and then I chased him off in my PvP ship, so fair's fair.